everyone. Very good morning to all of you students. This is Ishani Trivedi from LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. Welcome back to the session of Building Construction Technology. So students, previously we had been discussing about the special works. As you know that I have already talked about what are the special works, why it is required, why it is necessary, how it is different from the conventional methods, right? All of these things have been discussed now. So further today we are going to discuss about the special treatment. Till now we were discussing about the special works, okay? We talked about the temporary works, about cofferdams, about diaphragm walls, right? About the demolition of the structures. Now we are going to study the special treatment which is generally applied to the structures for different purposes. So in that we are going to discuss about first fire resistance in buildings, second thermal insulation in buildings, and third sound insulation in buildings. Now these are considered to be special treatment. Actually this is included in your design as well, that you have to always use material which are fire resistant. You have to provide certain measures, you have to provide escape ways, you have to provide fire extinguishers at every floor, right? All of these provisions are already designed, but to design this, to provide this, to make the provision of these things, we have to study about it, that how they are regarded as special treatment. So in all we have fire resistance, we have water resistant structures, resistance to water in up to some extent. Then we can have sound insulation and thermal insulation. And we have also anti-termite treatments. You know what are termites? We will be discussing that in this module as well. So now let us start with the first one, that is fire resistance in buildings. Now as I told you that whenever the structure catches fire, whenever any portion or any part of the structure catches fire, it is important that you provide necessary escape ways for the users, for the occupants to escape out of the building safely. So for that you have to make provision of the stairs, right? You have to make escape ways. So you can provide the stairs at the rear side of the building, your emergency exit, which we call it as emergency exit. So these things have to be provided for always in any kind of structure that you are designing. Second thing about the materials, right? Now the structure can be made up of RCC, that is reinforced cement concrete. It can be brick masonry, it can be stone masonry. There are also elements which are made up of glass, like your windows or doors or any other furniture, right? So we are dealing with all kind of materials present in the building. So what are the fire resistant properties of this building, of these materials, right? If you have glass, if you have aluminium, if you have cast iron, if you have concrete, if you have steel, then all of these different materials are going to exhibit different fire resisting properties. Okay, so we are going to discuss about the common building materials, right? And we also have to discuss about the causes of fire. Now if I ask you what are the causes of fire, then you will be able to write down on your own without even studying, right? When does fire takes place? First of all, the common reasons, right? The gas leakage, or your cooking equipment, or your heating equipment, or any electrical equipment, when there is a short circuit, when there is a spark, when there is a gas leakage, when there is a blast in your cooking gas cylinder, right? All of these reasons are major causes of your fire. Apart from that, if the children are playing with matchsticks, that is irresponsible behavior, irresponsible smoking inside the house, right? If there are chimneys sometimes can catch fire, chimneys and open fires, open flames, right? So all of these are the causes due to which fire can take place in a building anywhere in any part of the world, right? So, as I told you that we have to provide certain measures, you have to provide stairs and emergency exits and escape ways. About fire extinguisher also, you have to provide all of these remedial measures to protect your structure, to protect the users for their safety when the structure catches fire, and then they can get out safely. I am showing you certain fire resisting properties of the material, which you can see in the images flashing. Can you see how the wood is burnt, how you can burn the concrete material? There are fire resistance testing on materials. You can carry out the test by constructing or by making a sample of your material, and then you can give it fire flame, and then you can check its fire resisting properties. Such tests can also be carried out. Now let us discuss about the common materials. The first material which we are going to discuss is timber. Okay, now look at the images flashing here. I am showing you the images where fire resistance measure is taken on the timber material. How? You can provide coating, you can provide paint, you can provide certain chemical coverings, chemicals, you can cover it with chemicals, you can provide it paint. So by that you can make it more fire resistance. It may help to let it catch fire slowly or not very easily, or it may not allow the fire to spread. But let us first talk about what are the fire resisting properties of timber. Now you know that timber burns easily, correct? Right? Timber can burn very easily, but it is a slow burning material. You know that, right? It is something like that. It can ignite rapidly, it can catch fire rapidly, but afterwards it is a slow burning material. So timber used in heavy sections may attain a high degree of fire resistance, right? Because in heavy sections, in heavy buildings, the timber may be used which will be well seasoned, it will be undergoing the fire resistance coverings and coatings, and all of these things may have been provided because you are dealing with heavy section, hence more precautions have to be taken. So for those cases it may have high degree of fire resistance, otherwise it can catch fire very easily. So in order to make timber more fire resistant, the surface is provided with coated with certain chemicals. Now what are those chemicals? I said you can cover it. You can also see in the image different colors with different colors. You can see that the timber board is covered. Okay, so it can be borax, it can be ammonium phosphate, right? Or also sulfate, zinc chloride. By all these chemicals you can provide a solution. The covering of these chemical solutions can be provided. So what happens is, by providing such coating, the spread of fire will be decreased. Next we are talking about the second material. Which is the second material? You can see that is the bricks. Okay, now you know that already bricks are constructed using the burning process, correct? We have class A, B, C, D, that is class 1, 2, 3, 4 bricks, that is correct. So bricks have already undergone the burning process. So in short, if we are going to say, then bricks generally have good fire resisting property. Although it burns, right, it will burn, it will have damage, it can also collapse your structure, but it has already gone through burning process, so it will have comparatively a better fire resisting property. So up to what temperature your bricks will not be affected? So up to 1200 to 1300 degrees Celsius temperature, the bricks will not be very much affected because of the reason I already told you. So this is due to the fact that also it is a poor conductor of heat. That is your second fact, that it is a poor conductor of heat. You know what is a good conductor and what is a bad conductor of heat? The one which cannot transfer heat, which cannot take it, it is a poor conductor, right? Next it says that brick has its own structural limitation. Yes, we know that. You cannot use brick masonry construction up to high-rise building. You can use it for partition walls, right? You can also use for load-bearing walls, but for high-rise structures, it is having certain limitations. Next, we are discussing about the third material, concrete. Now, I think students about concrete, you know very well. I don't need to go in that depth. Now, concrete has a very good fire-resisting property. Right, there is no loss in strength, right? Concrete remains unaffected when it is heated up to 250 degrees Celsius. Later on, there will be damage, there will be burning process, but it will be slower, right? Because also it happens that sometimes the lime mortar can burn easily, but the concrete material will be safe from fire, and generally in RCC buildings, you can escape from the building easily when it is made up of concrete. But there is one point, the steel which is present inside reinforced cement concrete. Now steel is a material which will burn easily, right? It will melt. So what will happen is you have to provide concrete cover to the steel. If the fire reaches up to the steel bars, up to the reinforcement, it will be disastrous. So in that case, maximum amount of concrete cover has to be provided to the steel so that it becomes a very good fire resisting material. Next, we are discussing about the material stone. Now, stone is a bad conductor of heat, but there is a drawback that when it gets heated, when the stone gets heated, it will catch fire easily and it will also break, it will rupture, it will blast, and ultimately your structure will collapse. So the stone do not exhibit very good fire resisting property, right? We have certain different categories like granite. As I told you, it explodes. Granite explodes and gets easily disintegrated under the effect of fire. Limestone is also easily crumbled. It means it is easily broken. About sandstones also, as I said that stone is a kind of a material. If you give it heat, if you give it fire, it is going to take heat, it is going to expand, and if you splash water on it, it will explode, right? Such is the property of the stone. Next we have a steel. As I told you that up to certain limit steel is going to resist fire, right? Up to 600 degrees Celsius temperature, mild steel will remain unaffected, but on top of that, the steel can catch fire, it will be disastrous, it can also collapse your structure. At a temperature of 1400 degrees Celsius, it is going to completely melt, right? So cover is to be provided if steel reinforcement is provided. If there is a steel structure, then on top of that, coating of necessary paint can be provided to make it fire resistant. Okay students, so next we are going to discuss about the material glass. Now glass is provided in the form of windows, in the form of doors, in the form of sometimes wardrobes, right? So there are lots of uses of glass. High processed glass. Now see, currently fire resistant glass is under making. Here the image which you can see over here, this is an example of fire resistant glass. It is being carried out, experiments are being carried out to make fireproof glass. So now, what is the property of this material? It is a poor conductor of heat, and its expansion due to heat is small. As I told you already, you can make fireproof glass which is under experiment, but cracks are formed in this material, right? When it is heated, just like stones. When it is heated up to a large extent and immediately cooled down, then cracks can be formed, but it cannot completely blast under this effects. Okay, so students, this covers your fire resistance in the buildings, the type of the special treatment which has to be provided, which is ultimately provided in your designing of your structures. Now we are discussing next students with the thermal insulation in the buildings. Now, what is thermal insulation, right? It means maintaining the temperature. It means maintaining the temperature or keeping the temperature constant inside your room, inside your building is called thermal insulation. Now there is a property of heat that heat always flows from higher temperature to lower temperature. So whenever there arises a temperature difference between inside of the building and outside of the building, that is your summer season, when temperature increases, it is going to flow from higher temperature to lower temperature. It means it is going to heat up your room or your building. So what you will do is, you will provide certain necessary measures to the ceiling, to the walls, so that what happens is that the heat energy which will be passing inside, which will be coming inside, will be insulated with the help of material which you have provided in your structural members, right? So you can see the geometry, you can see the sketch above me flashing over here. It will help in summer also, it will help in winter also. In winter it will keep it warm, the reverse effect will be created, and in summer it will keep it cool. It will not allow your heat energy to flow inside directly into the building, right? The image which you can see on the left of me, this is your example of foam thermal insulation. Foaming method is done. You know what is foam, right? The foam means when you mix the detergent with water, foam is created, right? Also your mattresses are foam based. So using this material foam, you can provide thermal insulation. You can see how it is directly studded in the wall, how it is directly applied. But there are certain safety concerns, health concerns arising. But this is a new method emerging right now. That is your foam method of thermal insulation. Now, what are the advantages? I think you will be able to understand. The biggest advantage is the comfort, because the users will be relieved from the extreme heat outside. Fuel saving, because if there is if coolness is maintained in the room, in the building, then less usage of power, and hence fuel saving is done. Prevention of condensation. See, generally this process of heat transferring from higher to lower temperature is due to condensation, right? It can be convection also, it can be radiation process also. These are the basics of thermodynamics. So condensation means your vaporization and evaporation, right? All of these things will help to the comfort of the users. Prevention of freezing water, right? In cold countries, the tap water, right, the water held inside the tap in the pipelines will not get frozen, because you are maintaining thermal insulation, and as I said, it will be working reverse in the winter conditions. Now talking about the thermal insulating materials, that how you can achieve this. So first we have is slab or block insulation, right? A block insulation. It means you are going to insert a slab or a block directly into the wall, into the lining of the wall, right, into the ceiling also, right? Now how are these materials made? They are made up of glass, they are glass blocks, they are hollow blocks, glass fibers can be used in this. You are also seeing one of the blocks in front of you. These are actually slab blocks made up of timber, wood fibers. Again, second you can see students, if you remember the hollow concrete blocks, right? If you remember the cavity walls, it was having the major advantage of thermal insulation and sound insulation, right? So for the exposed walls, cavity walls can always be provided. You can also provide such paints which are thermally insulating. It will absorb less heat energy, and apart from that we have these materials, that is hollow block, that is your block insulation. Second we have is blanket insulation. Now look at the image flashing just below the blanket insulation. Directly the blankets are inserted on the ceilings, on the roof. Can you see that? Now these blankets which are installed intermediate in between, right, and top of that covering will be provided. So these blankets are generally made up of flexible fibrous material. They will be thermally insulating material, right? They will be bad conductor of heat, and you can directly install them on the ceiling. It comes in thin rolls, just like it is flashing in the second image over here. So that makes your blanket insulation. Next we have is loose fill insulation. Can you see in the new image again flashing over here? Yes, we can see that loose filling. Now loose filling of generally sand or rock wool or combination of different fibers, right? They will be directly filled in the slab, in the floor, in the ceiling. They will be studded into the ceiling, and then on top of that covering will be provided. So this is your directly loose fill insulation. Next we have is insulating boards. Now for this purpose, directly insulating boards will be installed to the walls, right? To the walls, to the ceiling. You can provide directly insulating boards. How are these boards made? Again, they are made from wood by binding the fibers with adhesives. That is your sticky material. You can bind it, and it comes in different sizes and shapes and dimensions. That is your insulating board. Next we have is reflective sheet material. You have reflective material, right? It is going to reflect back the amount of heat energy which is absorbed. It will not pass through the building. That is your reflective sheet material. Okay, so you can see how it appears, how it is made up of aluminium foil, right? You can see that it is made up of foil material. So this is your example of the reflective sheet material. About the thermal insulation in exposed walls, you already know what you have to do. Next students, we are going to discuss about the sound insulation in the buildings. Okay, now sound insulation is required first of all for the privacy of occupants, for their comfort, for their noiseless dwelling inside the building, right? It is not desirable that if you make noise on your floor, if it is transferred to the floor below you or above you or outside, or if the noise is coming from outside to inside your room, then all of these things are going to be inconvenient, right? So in normal cases, sound insulation has to be always provided. Now, basic theory regarding the sound insulation, you can see in the line diagram which is shown in the extreme left, that how the sound passes directly. You are providing a kind of a barrier, right? In your walls and in your ceilings, you are providing a kind of a barrier, and because if your sound will pass, because of that barrier, it will absorb it and it will not allow the sound to pass inside the room, right? So let us talk about this in detail. So how sound insulation is done? It is a measure to control the noise, right? About the noise, undesirable noise inside the building. So passing from one room to another, one building to another, or whatsoever, right? Now, how can you do the soundproofing? Soundproofing can be done with the help of introducing barriers, right? You can provide vertical barriers that will be in the walls, and you can provide horizontal barriers that will be in the floor and the ceiling, right? Again, the material, the sound insulating material, the boards will be nothing but made up of fibers. It will be made up of wood fibers, rock wool fibers, okay? And you can see that in the cross-sectional image which is flashing over here for the two different barriers, right? For the vertical and for the horizontal, you can see over here that in between, right, in intermediate. Now see students, if I give you example of a floating timber floor. I told you that floating timber floor is generally common these days. Also one point, that timber flooring always creates noise. If you step on it, then it is going to create a noise. So for that, in between you can provide a barrier itself, a structural member itself. So it is going to absorb the sound, and hence it will make your structure sound insulation. Okay students, so this covers your special treatments regarding the thermal insulation, the sound insulation and fire resistance. Okay students, I think we should keep these three topics up to now, till now. We shall discuss the rest in next session. Have a good day students. Thank you.